I do want to share one cool insight that I've had this week on the way to win. So, when people approach something new, they're asking themselves, can I do this? Because they have all of that fear of failure, the past experiences, the things that they've done before that they're going into something new. You might be experiencing that too. Like, I'm starting something new. Can I do this? It's going to be scary. And then all those thoughts come up, right? So the thing that I've had the insight on is three elements that you can focus on that create success, that help you to experience the victory regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what your passion, what project you're doing. Three things that create success. But first, I want to focus on the clouds because the clouds is what pulls us down. The clouds is what we need to recognize that's stopping us before we can shift to the sun. So the first thing is have to. So when it comes to desire, desire is on the right side of the sun and have to is on the left side of the clouds. At any time, if you are going through your day and listen to your language and notice, when do you say, I have to do this? And Kyle and I talk all the time during the day, and I have tuned my ears so sharply to listen to have to. And anytime I hear it, I pause and I'm like, do you? Do you have to? And even on church on Sunday, I was talking to my little, what are they, 9-year-old kids, and I told them about have tos too, because I told them, like, there's this defiant part in me that I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be feeling like that pressure from someone else's expectations if it's not what I want. So I heard a quote the other day that said, the reason why we feel pressure because of expectations is because of it's someone else's vision for who we are. So if we're living in this box of have to, then it feels very constrictive. It feels like we're going toward a space where we really don't want to be. And so imagine that with the clouds and the sun as you listen to the language throughout the day. When do you hear yourself say, I have to? And then take a moment to pause or make a note of it in your journal so that when you get to your pause during the day, you can actually think about that thing. Why do I feel like I have to do that? What do I feel? Is there an expectation that someone else has of me? Something that I should? That's going to be another have to parallel word. I should do this. And why should you? I'm not saying that it's wrong or bad or evil. I'm just saying it's something that you can look at to examine what is the internal operating system. What do you feel when you're going throughout your day? So the opposite of the have to feeling is desire. The desire is what pulls you upward and forward toward the light. The desire is the perpetual forward motion of feeling good because you feel progress, you feel growth, you feel like you're becoming the person that you want to be, you feel like you're making a contribution to the world. You hear my energy change? Like, I can feel this inside of my body. I get so excited by moving toward what I want. So even my son this morning before this class, I'm like, okay, I got a class. And he's like, Mom, you're going to burn yourself out with all these classes. And I'm like, no, I don't think so, because it doesn't feel like I have to. When I feel like I have to, it pulls me down. So notice, what do you want to go toward? What feels like the energy that's lifting you upward and forward? So instead of the have to, look for want to. What do I want to do? Because I believe there's an internal blueprint inside of us that we have desires, and sometimes we don't listen closely enough to what are those desires. What is that quiet whisper inside of me that I really want to do? And granted, there are times when in your life you have to do something in order to fill a box. There's times and seasons for everything. But still keep in mind and hold in your heart the space of believing that it's possible to go toward the want to, even if it's something that isn't your time and season right now. Maybe there's a job that you have to take that you don't want to. Maybe there's a season of your life that feels less joyful, but look for what you're learning in that stage instead of letting it take you to a victim mentality and complaining about it. The language, again, is going to point you to what you feel. So listen to your language. That's the major takeaway from what I want you to get from this today. So when you're looking for the desired outcome, the want to, notice those feelings in your body. And when you go into your self-care time, your meditative state, listen for that quiet voice. There's probably, going back to that blueprint idea, there's probably something that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't given yourself permission to do it. What is that thing? And allow your mind to play. Play is the doorway to possibility. So when you allow your mind to just simply imagine what's possible, if I didn't have any limits, if I didn't have a box, if I wasn't supposed to do this, or if I didn't have to do this, if I didn't feel these constrictive limitations on who I am or what I'm supposed to do, what would I want to do? What would be possible in that future imaginary situation? And just let your mind play and notice what you see yourself doing. Notice how that feels as you see yourself doing that thing. And for me, since I was 12, that's been being on stage and being a speaker and feeling that desire to make a contribution to the world, feeling that desire like I have a message inside of me and it matters and it's important. And that's also the thing that I get beat up about the very most. The clouds, the darkness that try to pull me down to the beliefs that are heavy, that's the very thing that I get beat up about the most, because that's my desired outcome. So the thing that you want to do, the thing that's going to lead you to live your purpose, recognize that's going to be the thing that's going to be a target area for the darkness to beat you up. And it requires you to be vigilant and very mindful and choosing very intentionally what you're allowing in your mind. Are you going to allow that dark thought? You can't do this. Nobody cares about you. Your message doesn't matter. Or are you going to choose to replace those? We called them last week in our session, the cockroaches of darkness. That was so crazy when that came up, pointing toward, what do I want to believe? And how do I want to feel? These are all intentional choices that you can choose because you're a creator. So the 3 takeaways of what creates victory in any situation is, number 1, focusing on your desire. The reason why that's so powerful, if you haven't learned about the brain, the reticular activating system creates that target that you're going for. The sun is a circle, and I imagine this target like a circle. And really, when you focus on what you desire, it reorganizes all the stuff that you think about. It reorganizes what you notice. It reorganizes the questions that you have. Instead of asking what's wrong with me, you're going to start asking what is possible, what can I do, what's right with me. Focus on what you desire. It will change your thoughts. It will change your emotions almost immediately. But the more you practice with your mental fitness on what you want, focusing on your desire, letting go of the fear, the more you're going to be able to intentionally choose to think about what you desire. And there's a book called The Science of Getting Rich. I don't love that name, but it's kind of the spin-off of my masterclass, The Science of Getting Results. It talks about those principles of abundance and creating results. The whole manifestation mindset, this is why it works, is because your brain, because the reticular activating system, it's not magic. It's not something woo-woo. It's really just how your brain works. So focus on what you desire is key point number 1 to have success and win in any situation. Key point number 2 is focus. So focus being eliminating distractions. The clouds part of focus is delay, distraction, and diffusion. One quick story that will help explain this. When I was growing gardens, I actually built a watering system in a square-foot garden for one of my friends, and then I did it for myself. And I noticed that when there was one hose of water going into a diverted area, and then the more we created branches off of the next area, it slowed down the pressure, or it lowered the pressure of what was actually able to get to the end. So imagine all the things that you want to do. And if you're trying to do 10 things at once, your focus is diffused. Versus if you focus on one thing at a time, it's going to increase your ability to be present with that thing, to think deeply about that thing. So focus is going to lead to flow and that ability to actually go into what Dr. Benjamin Hardy calls Chronos time instead of Newtonian time. You guys remember we talked about that a couple months ago. So Chronos time is that idea of flow that Csikszentmihalyi wrote the book on flow, and that leads you into that state of higher productivity because you are 100% present. So focus is key point number 2, and key point number 3 is curiosity. The brain is so cool because it wants answers. And I laugh all the time that Kyle and I have conversations that he is really good about wanting to close the loop, and he'll try to make guesses on why this is this and why this is with, and I am always saying maybe, yep, maybe. There's a book called The 4 Agreements, and then his son wrote another book after that called The 5 Agreements. In that book, it talks about the open loop of curiosity. And the brain, imagine the letter C, standing for curiosity. The brain starts at one point and it goes to create the curiosity and it ends. As long as you don't try to answer that question too soon, the brain keeps asking for more, leaning forward to what else is next, what else is possible, what else can I do? So that open loop of curiosity is not trying to answer the question too soon, but continuing to ask the question. And there's one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou. I have this little thing that I keep by my desk. It says, intelligence is not always, now I got to read it, knowing the answer. It is always asking the question. So curiosity is a superpower. Curiosity helps us to lean into uncertainty, especially when we feel that fear pulling us down. So those are the 3 things that will help you win regardless of any circumstance. Number 1, desire. Number 2, focus. And number 3, curiosity.